Hey everybody, so what was some of the fallout from the election this November as it pertains to Idaho? Let's talk about it next. Hey everybody, Dave Edwards, Treasure Valley Dave here. You know, your great real estate agent by your side when it comes time to buy a home, sell a home, or even relocate right here to the Treasure Valley. And what a great place it is. And I think by the end of this video, you're going to find out that it's even better than it was before. What the heck are you talking about, Dave? Well, we had that election. You remember that? You might have heard Trump won the national presidency, and I think the Republicans took over the Senate, and looks like they're going to take over the House too. But what about Idaho? Well, let's kind of get into that. So I was just looking at this story here from Idaho Ed News, and they've got some good information. I wouldn't say by any stretch of the imagination they're a right-wing outfit. I mean, it does have to do with public education, right? But oftentimes they do have pretty fair analysis of what's going on. Anyway, so let's check out this article. Analysis: Idaho voters move to the right and Idaho policy will follow. Well, that's kind of cool, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So the nation shifted to the right Tuesday, and Idaho followed suit. And they talk about the federal level for a little bit, but then obviously we sent our entire delegation that goes to Washington, D.C. are all from the Republican Party. Some are more conservative than others, but they're all in the big tent of the Republican Party. Let's focus on the state level, the article says. Voters overwhelmingly rejected the Proposition 1 election overhaul. So what Proposition 1 is, if you haven't been following, in Idaho, that was a measure on the ballot that would have done two things. And those are, one, it would have given us what they say jungle primaries, where you don't have Republicans in Republican primaries and Democrats in Democrat primaries. It's all just everybody in one. And the other thing it did was that it gave us ranked choice voting. So instead of one person, one vote, it's you go in there and you pick your top whatevers. If this guy doesn't get it, then maybe that guy will. And essentially you're not voting once, you're voting many times. And it's so confusing and that it can never be audited, and it can essentially, the loser can end up being the winner. So there's so many things on that, but it's definitely something that other states that have brought it in, say Alaska, they're trying everything they can to get it out. Well, what happened here was we didn't let it happen. Republicans also added 3 seats to their state house supermajority. We'll talk about that in just a little bit too. So the anti-Prop 1 supermajority stood at a jaw-dropping 69.8%. So almost 70% is the percentage by which it failed. There's not that many people in Idaho that want such a thing for Idahoans. Moving on down, Tuesday's vote was also a sharp repudiation of the Prop 1, pro-Prop 1 campaign. And they're also talking about some of the outfits that are in Idaho that push the very liberal, super liberal agenda. And they also get a lot of Republicans, mainstream Republicans, rhino Republicans, like the former governor, Butch Otter. He is one of those rhinos, and he was for Prop 1. Our current governor, Governor Little, he was against it. Oh, and these groups, they also bring in tons, and I mean almost literally tons, of out-of-state money. I don't know if it's Soros money or whatever, but it's not Idaho money. It's not the grassroots that you would think that it would be. The way, look at their ads and whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, this is what Idaho wants. Well, apparently they didn't by a super majority, overwhelming majority vote. So this is a quote from our Idaho House Speaker, Mike Moyle. And he said, over the last year, our state has been under attack by far left, out-of-state activist groups attempting to change how Idaho conducts elections. Let the defeat of Proposition 1 serve as a message to out-of-state interest groups. Any attempt to interfere with policy in our state will be met with a resounding defeat. Hear, hear. Way to go, Speaker Moyle. A chorus of Republican critics, a big tent of occasional adversaries like Moyle, Governor Brad Little, and GOP Chair Dorothy Moon pounded away at Prop 1's biggest weakness. So what I get from this is we have different levels of conservativeness between these three different characters, Moyle and Brad Little and Dorothy Moon. Dorothy Moon is a hardcore patriot. She is on the side of the Constitution, of the people, and she stands ready to fight anybody that comes to interfere with people's rights. Brad Little, he's a bit more pragmatic, as is Speaker Moyle. But this does go to show when something comes that really threatens our state, they are all on the same page. They want to protect Idaho from those liberal Marxists, I'll throw that out there, and out-of-state money that tries to do exactly what those, I'm going to assume, same groups did to Colorado, where they turned Colorado from a nice conservative state to a highly liberal state. Same thing they're trying to do in Arizona. So let's move along just a little bit more here. Another thing that isn't going away is the Republicans' ironclad supermajority in the legislature. So that's the Idaho House and the Idaho Senate. So how did all that pan out? We have a 29-6 Senate supermajority. That means we have 29 Republicans versus 6 Democrats in the Idaho Senate, and a 61-9 House supermajority. 61 Republicans, 9 Democrats. Supermajority. Also, I thought this was interesting. Only 2 Democrat legislators reside outside of Boise. So that tells me that Idaho really is very conservative, and we do have a bit of a liberal bastion in Boise. And I'm not going to make excuses for it, but I can understand it because that's where we have the university. That's where the seat of government is for the entire state. And that, based upon other capitals that I've been to, seems to be pretty normal, where you do get more of a liberal kind of a bent around the capital and around the universities. Interesting. And this goes on to say that it's no exaggeration to say that Democrats have been nearly obliterated from the legislative map here in Idaho. And, I'm going to say it's probably going to be nice to keep a few of them around so we remember what kind of things that they represent. And if we start getting some establishment or rhinos that start bending towards what we see with the leftists, then we have something to compare it to. So I think we're just about right. And not only do we have the numbers of more Republicans in our legislature, but they are also considerably more conservative, as this article says. But first, these large and conservative GOP caucuses, cockeye, will elect leadership in December. The teams that will assign lawmakers to education, budget, and tax committees. Any and all of these key committees are likely to shift to the right. They've already been Republican. Now they're going to become even more conservative. And the writer of this article, Kevin Reichert, says that election night 2024 will have an immediate impact on policy, including education. And this is from an education website, so I can imagine that he would say that. But what does all this mean to you? It means that, well, if you're living in Idaho, Idaho just got more, the needle just moved more to the patriot side. And if you're living in some other place, California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Idaho could be the place that you might want to check out if you're interested in a more conservative place that's not hanging by a thread, but is going to be conservative as far as the eye can see. So when it comes time for you to figure out where you want to go, maybe it's Idaho. The best way to find out is, well, let's talk about it. We've got tons of resources right here at the Treasure Valley Dave team. Marines made the journey from California. I've made the journey from California. And we have all sorts of experience, ideas, things we can do to help your plan. And we've also just got tons of super happy past clients that have made that great escape too. And it's not easy. It's not totally stress-free, but working with Marine and I, it will be as easy and stress-free as possible. So give us a call, text, email, whatever it takes. Let's get working on your plan. And if you want to know more about what's going on in the market up here in the Treasure Valley, that could be important. Check out this video here.